Hi, everyone. Welcome. We are learning about how to throw the bones today. I am so excited for this. My sister, Rebecca MacIain, is here. Rebecca is a longtime bone witch and also an amazing artist and artisan. She makes runes, she makes wands, she makes jewelry, she makes all kinds of amazing magical creations. Please check out her stuff. I put a link in the community chat. And I will hand it over to Rebecca. Yay, I'm so glad you're excited for this too, Elizabeth. Let's do this.
Yeah, okay. So I thought I'd start off with just a little bit of history. Let's see. Bone casting has been around for a really long time. The technical term for it is osteomancy, which is just, you know, finding things out by throwing bones, really. Uh, there aren't a lot of cultures that haven't done it, as far as I can tell. They find bone throwing components in the graves of Norse witches, Norse magic users, basically shamanesses. They find them in China. That's some of the oldest ones. Obviously, they find them in Africa. It's a big part of the hoodoo culture here in the Southeast. But yeah, they're pretty much everywhere. It's interesting because it's an eclectic discipline rather than a constructed one like tarot. You get extremely different results, and it's a very different style of reading. You don't have it requires a lot of intuition. Obviously, people who read tarot or other cards, they use intuition too. But this is more, you have a very strong link to the objects that you use. And everybody's set is different. There's no set. So I'm going to show you the bones that I use. Okay, I'm going to turn this off so you can all see the tray while I'm talking. Adrienne, do you want to pin the tray? Cool. All right. So this is a very small set compared to some that you'll see out there. Some people use much larger bones. I travel a lot, so I have a relatively small set. Each of them has a different symbol carved onto it. I don't know how well you can see them. There we go. And each of them means something different. This, for example, is the pyramid. It relates directly to actual wealth, like money, specifically money. So I'll break it down real quick. You've got your four elements: earth, air, water, fire. And it's a little hard to see, so there you can see. That, for example, is air. You've got your masculine principle and your feminine principle. If I were doing a reading for Adrienne and the feminine principle turned up in a reading, that would generally indicate her specifically. That would mean the person for whom the reading is being done. If it were a man, it would be the masculine principle. That's not a hard and fast rule, but it generally holds true. And then I have more specific things like money, crossroads, love, obstacles. This is a fun one. They used to call this the evil eye. I generally don't. I think that's reductive and it kind of minimizes it. It also makes it more about an enemy. Could be about an enemy, but it's much more likely to be about something in your way. Got the key. Spirit. That's your direct connection to the divine. And then serendipity, which is the cool stuff that happens that you're not expecting. And then I've got an arrowhead, obsidian arrowhead, a jack, and a tooth. These I generally use if my reading using the other bones isn't real clear. This is about direction. I use this to represent children or a child. And this is about aggression. Um, so let's see. I think the thing to start with is to cast and do a reading. Does anybody have a question that they're looking for an answer to? Nope. Adrienne, you got a question?
Yeah, my question always when I don't have a question,
Mhm.
I ask, what should I be focused on right now? Or what am I not seeing?
Great. Okay.
So what am I not seeing right now? Where should I put my focus?
Okay. Oh, before I do this,
Mhm.
make a technical point. In case you're interested in doing this, bones bounce. So do other small objects. I use a tray that I've put cork in, and then I put this piece of felt over the top. Makes it bounce a lot less. Traditionally, bone throwing is often done directly on the ground, and dirt, it acts a lot like cork. It doesn't bounce as much. If you do it directly on a table or a cloth on a table, they're going to scatter a bit more. Okay, now before I begin, each of these quadrants has a meaning. So this quadrant is love and passion. This is all about money and security. This is health, and this is the unknown. So I start with the elements and the masculine and feminine principle. And this is for Adrienne about what do you need to be putting your focus on. So anything that's close to the edges comes off the board. Think of it as a circle. Now I do all the other fun little pieces. Anything not toward the edges comes off. And let's see what we have. I generally go sunwise. So I'll start up here. And up here we have spirit, serendipity, and the pyramid. And the pyramid's all about wealth, drawing in money, actual cash money frequently. Whereas this is more about security and jobs. This is more about actual money. Here, bang on the line and touching the center, which is always cool, is air. Air is all about communication. It's about ideas, getting your ideas across. And up here in money, we've got winter, earth. And that is all about gestation. It's about growth. It's about being patient. Yeah, that's always a little bit challenging for me when it shows up. I hate waiting. Down here in health, we have key. Key's all about doors, possibilities, things opening up. A lot of times when you see the key, it's a person. It's somebody who's in a position to help you to make a change or to open a door, something good, usually. But it's worth mentioning that doors can also be locked. You can use this key for other things, but generally it's about opportunity. And over here in the unknown, we've got the feminine principle. Adrienne, you're in the unknown. Okay. Sorry,
That
I'll
is
do
so
two.
funny. I asked, what am I not seeing? Well, you're not seeing yourself.
Yeah,
That's what you're not seeing.
that's
So
what we begin with right here. You're hidden. All right. Up here in love, this is what you're passionate about. This is the thing that you care about. As far as things to focus on, money. This is important. You're passionate right now. And because this shows up in the quadrant of passion, it means that you're going to have money coming in from the thing that you care about. There's money directly coming from what you're passionate about and what you're working on. Right here, overlapping, we've got spirit, which is your connection to the divine, always a good thing to have in passion, and serendipity, which means that something good is coming and you don't know what it is yet, but it's good and it's coming. That's always a delightful thing to find. What this suggests is that the thing you're working on, the thing that you are trying to make money from, is aligned with your passion. It's directly aligned with what you're trying to do. And because of that, you can see this is aligned here. Your spiritual belief, your understanding of yourself as a spiritual being is aligned with this money-making project. You're not doing something that's in conflict with what you let me start that again. I'm not used to teaching or being on Zoom.
You're doing
We're
great.
not teaching like this.
I totally get it. It just means they're aligned, you know, my money
Yes,
making
exactly.
projects and my spirit and
Yes. You're
connection
not
to
doing
mine.
something that betrays your values.
Right,
You're
exactly.
doing something aligned with your values. And something good is going to happen. It
Yeah,
might not look like a good thing immediately. You see how these are sort of opposed?
I do,
They're
yeah.
not completely opposed, but it may take a minute before you see what's coming as a positive.
Yeah,
This could be a delay. It could be something not coming through. It could be an application that's denied,
right.
but it's a good thing and it's coming fast. That's the thing about bone readings. These are very immediate. This isn't about the long distance future. Something like tarot can give you much broader information. This is right now. Okay, over here in the money, patience. I hate having that show up in money. It means you're going to be waiting. But right here, touching the center, we've got communication.
Mhm.
Whatever it is you want to have happen here, you have to be extremely articulate about it. You got to be specific. Everything is hinging on that right here. Uh, think of it like this. This is going to do this. It's going to spin right around that point, and you need to begin that conversation on money and health. Now, health isn't just feeling ill, having an illness, needing a surgery. It's also your emotional well-being. It's how you feel in yourself. It's, are you in a healthy relationship? It's, are you living in a safe place? It's all of those things. So it's broad health. You need to start this conversation, this getting your point across, communication, right in between these. So something needs to be said that involves your financial security and your well-being. I don't know precisely what that is, but the key might tell us a little bit more about it. And you're probably going to have to be real patient about it. That suggests that you're not going to get your point across right away. You're going to need to be patient, and you're probably going to have to repeat yourself. But when you do, I mean, you see the direction that's happening here?
Absolutely, yeah.
This is going to spin right around the center like that. It's going to be incredibly powerful and useful, but you're going to have to be patient, and you're probably going to have to spin a couple of times. All right, down here in health, we've got the key. I love finding the key. Key's great. Means there's a door, something neat. It isn't always something you're happy about, but it's always something important. Um, you know, we think about life as this continuous line, but really we're walking through a series of doors, you know, and you don't just walk in a straight line, you see doors and you make choices. Somebody in this context, I think this is a person because of this communication loop that's going on here. There's somebody who's going to help you get your point across. They're the key to the next door. They're going to help make this clear. This isn't the person you're trying to get the point across to. This is someone who's going to help you get that point across. So as we move through here, and they're going to be health related, that's how you'll be able to spot them when they pop up. This is somebody directly who will very obviously be about your health. This might be a medical practitioner. This might be a therapist. You know, this could be the friend that you go to with your problems, but it's going to be somebody directly related to your health. So when that shows up, you're going to know who this is. Moving straight through into here, you're in the unknown. And this is the feminine principle. So it's not just you. This is also uh, all of the things that we think of as feminine: intuition, flow, water element, things like that. Um, the mothering principle, all of those things. And you are all of those things. There's something you don't know. And for some reason, you're in the dark. You may not even know it yet, but the fact that this piece of communication has to happen suggests that there's something you need to tell and you still don't know what it is. That may be because it hasn't happened yet. You don't know what this door is, but it's going to require communication and patience. It's completely aligned with what you want, and there's money sitting right here. So once this communication happens, you've got good stuff coming. But what you need to do is be patient and be alert. This is going to be right between money and health, and there's going to be a person to help you who's health related. Pay attention to that when it happens. And if you have something interesting open up or a setback you weren't expecting, frame it in perspective to this, because it's not a bad thing. And all of this should happen pretty soon. But you've got a perfect circle going on here. Let it
Yeah,
happen.
it's so cool. I can, there's the little arrow, right, of the wishbone.
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah.
it kicks off this beautiful little circle. And then I noticed that the feminine principle is actually aligned with the key
Mm-hmm.
as well. Did you notice that? And
Yep.
so that tells me that that person might be female.
Yeah. It's very likely.
Yeah. Another thing, the gestation, yeah, it's patience, but it's also growth.
Yes.
And so it feels like intuitively to me that there is going to be some growth in money.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not going to come as fast as I would like it to.
Yeah. Well, and something else to remember is that this is winter. It's
Yeah.
winter now,
Hmm.
which reinforces the immediacy of this.
Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly right. Beautiful. Thank you so much.
You're most welcome. Um, this makes the most sense by repetition. Someone else want to jump in? We got time.
Yay, there.
Yeah,
Yeah, I came up with a question while you were speaking.
great.
Um, I think so. How could I get more support in my life right now?
All right, let's see. Oh, I also brought, don't let me forget, after we do this, I have a bag of interesting pieces that I also use and pieces that I've been collecting for Adrian's set. I want to show you the other possibilities for what you can use in something like this. Like I said, these are my travel bones. They're quite small. These are mostly tarsals, finger bones, toe bones. Um, and real quick, I should mention the ethics of this. A lot of
I was
people
just going to say,
do
you want to
this.
explain actually where these bones
Yeah,
come
where
from?
these come from. I probably should have started with the ethics portion. Um, a lot of people are uncomfortable using bones initially, especially if they're not familiar with uh, handling dead animals. But most people handle chickens and things like that. I get a lot of my bones from people who go through and process old taxidermy. The people who, like when something is moth-eaten and it's old, they take it apart, and rather than throwing the bones away, they give them to people like me, or they sell them to people like me. There are people who rescue roadkill, and rather than, again, throwing them away, they will make offerings and ask and use the bones if they feel comfortable with it. And you can make a set with no bones. You can use seashells, you can use all kinds of wonderful things. Some people like feathers. I don't, because they tend to blow away for me. They just waft off the board. But anyway, there are options, and it is important to be ethical. These things are alive in their own way. That animistic idea that everything has spirit in it. If you use something that you haven't obtained ethically or properly, that you haven't made feel appreciated, you'll get weird readings or you won't get readings at all. You'll get flat stuff and you look at it and you go, what? Okay. Anyway, moving on. All right. Again, we begin with the elements and the masculine and feminine principle. The outliers. Now, normally, I might remove this one as low as it is, but given that it's so aligned here, I wouldn't. I'd leave it. So we're leaving it. Wow. Ooh, this is neat. You've got lots of aligned stuff. All right, let's see. Okay, up here in love and passion, we have winter and patience and gestation and growth. We also have the crossroads. Over here in money and security, we have the feminine principle. There you are. We have love and passion. Now that didn't show up last time, so I'll tell you a little about it. That is not necessarily a love interest. It certainly can be, but it can be a reinforcement of the thing that you're most passionate about. So that could be a relationship, but it could also be your pet project or the thing you care about the most. And it moves around the board, which makes it useful rather than just this quadrant. And you've got water. Water's great. Water is spring and it's flow and intuition. Down here in health, you've got money and you have fire. Now, fire is the creative spark. It can be a little scary because it's fire, but that is ideas. And here, crossing the line from the unknown into health, you have spirit. And that's your personal connection to the divine. Tell me your question again.
How can I get more support in my life right now?
Okay. All right. No. Sorry, I have a cat trying to help. Okay. There's a crossroad choice. And it's probably a choice that you're having to be patient about, probably one that you are already being patient about. And it's up here in love and passion. So you've been being patient and there is a choice. You may still have to be patient about it, but you are going to have to choose. And the fact that they're aligned means that they're directly related. That's probably been going on for a while. Over here, we've got you up here in money. Here we have passion, and that is aligned with water. That's flow and relaxing into things, letting things happen. That means usually, or what this suggests to me, is that this piece of love here, this possible love, needs to be relaxed. It needs to be allowed to just happen. If it's been blocked by something, if it's been squeezed too hard, if it's been forced, all of that needs to relax. This has to relax in order for it to flow. And the fact that it's pointing directly to the center, love is, that's a really good thing. If this is relaxed, this can flow right to the center. Anything that hits the center tells you a lot, because that's what everything spins around. You're here. You're in slight opposition to this. That suggests, again, that this flow piece is really important. You got to relax and let it happen. And then this will turn like this, and you'll align with that. But you got to relax. Coming down into here, this is your health. there's something really cool, a spark, an idea, something burning. And it's aligned with money. The fact that it's in health is interesting. Money doesn't land in health a whole lot, in my experience. It just doesn't, unless you actually are working in the healthcare field.
She's a healer, so that might be
Oh,
significant.
really? Oh, neat. Well, that explains it then. There's a creative fire. It's directly related to money, and it's in health. They couldn't be more aligned. I mean, they're perfectly lined up. So again, this suggests to me that there's a creative spark, an idea, something that you've probably been gestating, something that you have as a notion. It could lead directly to money. Those things are in alignment. And spirit is creeping across here. That's your connection to the divine. So these are excellent. I mean, this is great. Who doesn't want money for doing the things that they love or the things that they're good at? As far as getting more support, that's more complex. Again, we've got things going in a nice circle here, but we have this in opposition to the circle. It's pointing to the center, but it's not part of this piece of flow. It needs to be. Once these are here, everything will spin around them. The way for you to get what you need is to relax. You've got to let go. And these two things will happen. This flow will join up with this love. It'll become the center. Things are spinning around. That's where your support needs to be. And then these things will be freed up to happen. I think that this patience, it may be time to stop with that. The fact that the crossroads is right next to it suggests to me that you need to choose to let that go. It's time to stop being patient. And it's time to relax. Now, those things might sound like opposites. Some people associate patience with being relaxed. It's not. Stop being patient. Relax. And this choice will be obvious. You probably already know what it is. And you've probably been patient for a while. So jump and then let go. And these things should align back up for you. And that will free these things up. And you'll find out what this piece is. It's probably very interesting. And it's clearly related to this, which is probably something related to your work since you're in healthcare and you're a healer. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, it does. I have been, yes, the patience is honestly very overdue. I started being patient in 2018.
Oh, yes, that's overdue.
Yeah, that's very, I hadn't thought of my work as like healthcare, but honestly, that it makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. It's like there's kind of a combination of like moving forward on what I know to do while relaxing while moving forward on it, instead of like getting all tense that it's like, I'm doing it. I'm doing it.
Mm-hmm. Good.
Yeah.
I think you'll find that you have support once you relax and let go. That flow will happen and you'll get your support.
Can I jump in with a couple of insights here?
Please, absolutely.
So that sector that is health, it's really holistic wellness. And
Mhm.
so as a healer, that's a much broader spectrum than just physical health, right? It can be mental health, it can be spiritual health. And especially the fact that spirit is right there dipping in there tells you that this very much is about a spiritual wellness. And the question was about support. And I think what that's trying to show you is that because a lot of it is in the unknown, that the support is there in the divine, in spirit, that you are very much supported by source. But you're not necessarily seeing that. And that patience, like I just wanted to really like reiterate, I love that those things feel so opposite, right? Flow and patience. But sometimes you really have to take action to get the flow moving and make that choice, right? And so when we're patient about a decision, sometimes that is what's blocking the flow, that we're waiting and waiting and waiting for this answer to come. And it's like, no, you need to make the choice. And that's what will kick off the whole beautiful cycle.
Well, and this is all being recorded, so you can come back and take a look at it and jog your memory. But I usually encourage people to take photos. Like when I read for people, I usually try to get them to take a picture so that they can go back and look at it again and say, oh, yes, that's what that meant.
So Elizabeth, I see that you asked a couple of questions in the chat.
Cool.
You want to hear more about the sets and development of partnership with the bones.
Yeah.
And she's also interested in hearing more about feathers because they're very important to her divination process. But I want to offer, did you want to ask a question of the bones first before we go to Q&A?
I would love to,
Awesome.
if I could.
Yeah.
And I also just want to say thank you so much, Rebecca. I'm totally nerding out over here. And like all the way.
Good.
And knowing a little bit about Claire and Adrian and their stories and their context of their lives, like it's just, I love it when that happens, that like everything just blows my mind. And I was sitting over here with goosebumps the whole time. So, and Claire, just insight wise, I would also like to add that I know like decision wise too, with that, the money and the work and the things and your own personal health journey, like paying attention to that flow and connectedness there.
Isn't it fun? I mean, this is one of the things that I love so much when we are at a show, right? And somebody walks up, a show, a market, right? An event. And somebody walks up that we don't know from Adam, right? We've never seen this person before. And we start, reading the bones, and it's like you can just see on their face that they're like, how did you know that? And it just so magical.
It is. It really is. It is. I read runes as well. And those are, again, that's a longer vision, usually, a longer term vision. It talks about your past, it talks about your present, and it talks about your future. And that can be more in depth. But there's something about the immediacy of bones that I find really speaks to people. It's wonderful to know the long-term stuff, but most of the people I know are dealing with right now, and they have questions about right now. They don't want to know if they need to set up a 401k. They want to know if they've got the right teacher for their kid. They want to know if this new job opportunity is a good idea. They want to know if their boyfriend is actually a decent person or if they've been snowed. People have immediate concerns, and that's what bones are for. Okay, what's your question?
What is the most direct path to stability right now?
Okay. Plus, they make a cool sound. I like the sound of casting. Wow, that's quite the cluster. Let's see. Interesting.
Sorry, I'm totally nerding out over here. It's so cool.
This part is always so much fun. I'm always startled by what stays in the tray and what jumps out. You never know. Like almost always, serendipity jumps out. I've had it in all 3 readings. This is just such fun. Okay. Starting up here, we have 2 things crossing in and 1 thing bang in the center. You've got spirit right in the middle. I mean, the whole thing is spinning around your connection to the divine. Here, we've got patience, winter, gestation, growth, crossing the line between the unknown and passion. We also have, you can see here, this little guy is creeping. He's crossing the line from money into passion. This is air. That's communication again. It's about getting your point across. In some cases, depending on how a reading happens, and this isn't necessarily directly related to your reading, I'm just kind of giving information as we go. There are times when that can actually mean air travel, like specifically travel. I've had that pop up a few times, especially when I added this and I'd cast this in. I had one turn up once where it was all about air travel to see a child. You know, I mean, it couldn't be anything else. So that's one of the things about bones is they're very contingent on what's around them. Also, here in money, you've got serendipity, which means that something awesome is coming and you don't know what it is. Down here in health, you've got the crossroads. It's aligned with an obstacle. That's always interesting. Let's see. Here, you've got the masculine principle. Now, that could be a fella in your life. It can also be the things that we think of as masculine attributes, that kind of go-getter thing. The alpha idea, leadership is a piece of this. Also, standing up for yourself. You know, things like that, the things that we think of as being naturally male. Some people, again, I'm jumping in here with a piece of information. You know, there's a lot of talk in the witchy community about masculine and feminine right now. And a lot of it has to do with the genderqueer thing, you know, people objecting to the idea of there being a goddess and a god, you know, in practices and things like that. But the actual masculine and feminine principles, things that we think of that way, that doesn't change. And it doesn't mean that it's exclusively for men or for women. So, you know, I'm pretty good at standing up for other people, and normally that would be considered kind of on the masculine end. I'm fine with that. I have lots of masculine attributes. So I just wanted to make it clear that that doesn't necessarily mean a guy. Can though. And it's over here in the unknown, but it's poking into health. It's also in direct opposition to the obstacle. That can be a very good thing, to have that masculine standing up right there opposed to an obstacle. But we'll see as we go. We've also got money in the unknown. That can be strange. Oh, I can't hear you.
I was just saying, I have no idea where it's coming from.
Okay, and we're back to here again with the unknown linked up here with your passion. Now tell me your question again. You're looking for
The most direct path to creating a sense of stability right now.
okay. Well, the stability spot right in the center has the divine. So the most important piece on this board, since you're asking directly about stability, is that your spirit connection. That's the piece that's the most important to creating that. However, interestingly, we've got this piece of communication pointing directly at it. There are other things pointing that direction, but none of them as directly as this. There's a piece of communication, an idea. You know, there's a difference between the creative spark idea and the idea that you need to express. You know, things start with a spark, but then they get honed, they get refined into something that you need to spread out. You need to disseminate, share. You've got something to say, and it's about your stability. That's where we are. We're in money and stability. And it relates directly to the divine. This is going to be aided by something nifty that's coming, something you don't know about, something you're not expecting, but it is going to help make that communication happen. And that's directly related to this piece of stability in the center. It's related to the divine. So you've got something to say. As we come down here, here's your health. Health is always related to stability. I mean, how can it not be? You've got a choice and an obstacle lined up there. That's not something I love to see on a board. A choice and an obstacle, you've got something in the way. And you may even know what it is because it's blocking a choice you need to make. It's not the bad choice. It's in the way of any choice. As long as these two things are lined up, it's not going to happen. This choice won't happen. You've got something over here in the unknown, and I don't think this is you. I don't think this is you standing up for yourself. I think there's something in the unknown that's going to help you get rid of this obstacle. This is probably the same as this. You've got something nifty coming. Someone's going to help you. They're going to help you get rid of this obstacle. When this happens, and this choice can happen, this will be easier. You will see your way clear to this communication about your connection, because this is your stable point. But this needs to be removed so that this choice can happen. As we move through the unknown, there's some money in here that can be unlocked. And again, who doesn't like to have money unlocked? That's always a good thing. But again, you're waiting on this choice over here. None of that's going to happen until this happens. So you got something in your way. Somebody's coming. And it could be a person. It very likely could be a person. And it's probably going to be a very masculine person. It could be a book, something that gives you advice. But I think it's a person. Just based on the way that this is laid out, I suspect it's a person. I could be wrong, but keep your eyes open. As we come through here, once this is flowing, this money will be unlocked. Up here, we've got patience coming between the unknown and your passion. I think you've probably been patient. I think you still need to be patient because it's part of the flow. It's not off to one side. It's not aligned to anything. So that patience is still happening. Once this bit happens here, once this is removed, once this person turns up and helps you out, you'll be able to make the choice, which will lead to these things opening up. You will still have to be patient. We're still moving this way. But once this piece happens, once this turns up, your serendipity, your helper, the person from the unknown, once they turn up, the patience will be much easier because you know that it's coming. Once that block's removed and the choice is made, it's a sure thing. That patience won't feel so long. And it's also growth. Something good is growing right there. Once you get to it, you'll see it. There's a neat piece of growth. You may know what's happening as far as the growth is concerned. Until this happens, you won't get the benefit of it. And we're right back up here to the communication. This person's going to help you make that communication happen. But given the layout right here, I think that communication is also going to help you find that person. You got to start without them. You got to start with the communication. The good thing's going to happen. This surprise is coming. In the meantime, you got to get your thoughts in order. You've got something you need to say. It's about the divine, and your stability is riding on that right now. Your relationship to, I suspect, given that it's bang in the center, it's not just your relationship to your personal deity or your God. It's probably a relationship between you and the entire world. Because it's
No pressure, no pressure. That's what my guys say all the time. You're gonna get there. You can take the long way or the short way. It doesn't matter.
Well, here, I think it does. I think it matters.
Yeah.
I think it matters here. You have something to say, sharpen it up, because you know, and it's up here in stability, in security, in finance. But especially given your question, this is about stability. You know this piece. You have a pretty good idea what this communication is that needs to happen. And this could be a communication with yourself. This could be coming to terms with how you are in relation to the world, who you are in relation to the world, the you that you're presenting and the you that you believe in. Sort that out in your head. Write it down, get it pointed, refine it. This is going to happen, and it's going to happen soon. When it does, this will move out of the way. You'll make the choice. This person will probably still be around because it's part of the circle that's going this way. This will free up. Patience, still going to have to be patient, but it's going to be rewarded. You know that. This is your stability point, and it's all about your relation to the world, who you are. Who do you want to be? I mean, who do you wish to present as? That's what I'd be thinking about. And I think you probably know the answer.
Whole notebook in front of me about it. Thank you so much.
I just want to
Another
point out
thing-
one. Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
I just want to point out one quick thing before you take these pieces off. You
Mhm.
see how that gestation, it looks like there's a little sprout coming up out of the ground, right? Like it's a very, sometimes it's a
yeah.
very literal visual, right? It's like there's this little sprout and it's organic growth. And so it's slow, but it's already coming up, right?
Yeah.
In your passion. And it's rooted in this money that's coming, right?
Mhm.
And when that grows, that's going to like help
And
it
rooted in the unknown.
in the unknown.
Rooted in the
But
unknown.
that communication is rooted in spirit. It is rooted in spirit.
Mhm.
Absolutely. And so that's, you know, that when you're really allowing spirit to come through you is when that communication is going to come the most easily.
Awesome.
Okay. I'm going to turn me back on here for a second. Move all these off the board. Okay. I'm going to show you a few things just to give you an idea of possibilities.
And Rebecca, can we make sure we answer Elizabeth's question about
Yes.
creating a relationship with your set?
Yeah. Okay. All right. So options, possibilities. So much of what I use in a larger set has to do with the things that I've carried around and kept over the years. Like I have a skeleton key that belonged to my great grandfather. I use that, you know, things like that. This key happens to belong to Adrienne because I've been working on a set for her. In a larger set like this, that could replace, you know, the key piece, that little guy.
I'd also like to point out that that key just mysteriously showed up in my home. I have no idea where it came from or what it opens, but it just seemed like it was absolutely volunteering itself as the key in my set.
I was without my bones one time, and this has to do with how you can connect to a set. I was without my bones and I needed a reading, and I was at the beach. And I walked around just watching the beach until I had a set, essentially. Beach glass, little bits of stuff, cool pieces of driftwood, things like that. And stuff calls out to you. I mean, if you've ever walked on a beach, you know how pebbles yell out, I am your pebble for today. You know, things, you see them, they pop up. And you can do this anywhere. You can do this in the forest. You can do it in the city. I mean, all the weird stuff that's on the ground sometimes, you know, you can find a popsicle stick. You can find what did I find? I found like I was in Czech Republic in Prague, and I found a rosary, like the little picture part. I found all sorts of things and was able to do a reading based on those, specifically for the place that I was in. And when I was done, I threw them away. I didn't have to keep them. I kept one or two pieces that really spoke to me, but it doesn't have to be something you carry around with you. However, the pieces that you use day to day, you will develop a very strong relationship to. If you find something that feels right for you, cleanse it. Start by cleansing it because you don't know where it's been. I like mugwort myself. I use mugwort smoke. I also just use mugwort herb and bury it in there. Not everything likes to be smoked. I mean, some things can be damaged by it. And a lot of people are allergic. Also, people like to cleanse with water. Bones don't love water. You can do a light cleansing, you can do a sprinkle. Don't soak your bones. That's not going to be good for them. Although, on a practical note, if you do find bones, something like these, if you find bones, this little guy, that's a Cornish game hen. It's the only way I could get a wishbone small enough to really work for this set was by finding a Cornish game hen and getting that. Now you could use a wishbone from anything, but when you clean it, clean it off with soap and water, get all the bits off, drop it in some hydrogen peroxide for a day or two. You can leave it in there for up to a week. More than that, and it starts to get kind of brittle. That will whiten the bone and clean it up and sanitize it. Once you've done that, then you need to cleanse it again. You need to tell it how much you appreciate it. And tell the chicken too, thanks. Not just because I ate you, but also because you're helping me now. There is in a lot of cultures a connection between bones and the dead. Some bone reading traditions feel that they are directly being assisted by the spirits of the dead things that they're using. I don't really feel that way so much about mine usually, but I admire that idea. I like that tradition. Cleanse them. Put them under your pillow. Hold them in your hands. Breathe on them before you do a casting, especially if it's for yourself. When I do a casting for somebody at an event or a friend, I will frequently have them hold the pieces themselves. That's a judgment call, Make your own decision. If someone's got sticky hands, don't give them your bones. If it's a small child, think twice. If it's someone who gives you the creeps, don't hand them your bones. You're going to have to cleanse them again, and you're going to have to apologize. Think of them as if they're tiny, not pets perhaps, but alive. You want them to be comfortable. Find a pretty bowl for them to live in, Find a pretty sack for them to live in. Set them where you can see them during the day. Hold them in your hand. Put them in your pocket. If feathers are your thing, find a feather with enough weight to stay on the board, to stay on the ground. It doesn't have to be a huge feather.
Can you show them some of the beautiful silk sacks that you have for your runes? Are those nearby?
Oh, sure. Hang on.
And yes, Elizabeth, absolutely. You can cleanse with Reiki. 100%. I'm so excited to get my set.
Is that your set?
Some of those pieces are going to be in my set.
Okay.
One thing I would caution about is very heavy pieces. If you have something that's extremely heavy, it's always going to be on the board. If you're doing readings just for yourself, having a heavy piece is not bad if that's you, if that's the piece you identify as yourself. Something like this, for example, that's a touch on the heavy side. It's not going to want to bounce out of the board. It might slide to the edge, which is fine, but it's not going to bounce. It's trial and error, pull together some things. You probably got stuff in a drawer, that you're fond of or that you've had hanging around for a long time. Maybe it's a pendant, a piece of jewelry, something you inherited or found on the ground. Things like that will speak to you. Put them out on a plate for a day or two and talk to them and wait until the ones that really want to be there make themselves clear. It sounds a bit woo-woo, but I've never had a problem with getting stuff to actually talk to me after a day or two, especially if you keep telling it how much you appreciate it.
And they'll tell us like what they represent in
Yes,
terms of the symbolism.
yes. Although there are some things that will make themselves fairly obvious. Like, for example, this bone feather, that's air for me. You know, these are sea urchin spines. To me, that's water. You know, you find a cool shell at the beach, you've got your water. Water is also flow. You know, the nice thing about stuff like this that's a little heavier, it points better. Feathers do tend to float. I have done it though where I've taken a bead, like a glass bead, and strung it, like poked it over the end of the feather to give it a little bit of body, kind of, so that it doesn't hop so much and float away. So you can totally use a feather. Think about also how you're going to travel with the stuff. If it's really fragile, it's not going to work for you. It's gonna break. You know, whether you have it in a nice sack or not, eventually it's gonna break. If you're okay with that, that's fine. You know, if you're doing this at the beach, that's fine. But it's something to bear in mind as you go. Here's some of the sacks that Adrienne was talking about. I make them so that they open up basically flat into a circle, so you can carry them with you. And I've even done them with the actual crisscross in them. But something like this, like these are recycled silk, you know, or here's another one. You can kind of see the idea. Something like this, you know, it will keep them safe and it makes them feel appreciated. You know, when I travel with my bones and I'm concerned about safety, well, the safety of the bones, not my safety. I wouldn't fit in this box. I use an old lens box, a camera box. You know, it's got a little bit more to it, and I put a soft cloth inside. It's about respect and common sense. Are there more questions? Nope.
I want to be mindful of your time, but I could probably ask more questions.
If
Thank
have
you
more
so
questions.
much.
We
happy
are
to.
at time.
Okay.
Elizabeth and Rebecca, I would be happy to give each other your contact information so that you can be in touch further. I think you will have wonderful conversations.
Oh, I'd like that.
Rebecca, I would love to have you back to do a demonstration of runes as well.
Sure.
If you're interested
Yeah.
in rune reading.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that.
Awesome.
Thank you all so much for joining us and have a wonderful magical week.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you so much.